Hi, happy Tuesday. I'm going to have a quick ramble. Crazy times, eh? Everybody's panicking. And I've been thinking to myself, whether to just carry on, like, with my YouTube absence until all this silliness is over. But I wanted to do a video and, we all have to talk about shit, don't we? So it's funny, I've been sort of observing how this coronavirus has been sort of spreading in the minds of the people, really, and yeah, gosh, it's really really funny, innit? But not as well, when you think about it. There's so many interesting observations, really. What's been interesting for me is to watch how people have lost the lack of humour about this over the days. People around me, like my mum sent me a text message this morning saying, I think I've got it, the coronavirus, I think I've got it. So I'm self-isolating and don't bring the kids round and blah, blah, and all this. And I foresaw that coming because I think she just wants a break from babysitting anyway. And, if that makes her feel better to do that, then, she should do that. And, maybe it'll do her good. So there's this sort of strange part of me that I feel like I've got to speak about to make it aware, just also that, it's all right to feel whatever in these, like, unknown times. But I almost feel giddy sometimes in such sort of madness around me. Like, I feel like I was, like, built for emergency. I was made for emergency, like, I feel like I've been really lucky. I'm 34. I've always had a roof over my head. I was born into certain privileges, like food and school privilege, and, all that type of jazz that most of us are. And it's times like these where other people who have maybe not we've been preparing for this, haven't we? I've been self-isolated for 7 years. I don't know about you lot, The idea of self-isolation does not scare me. But also, the idea of going outside when there's nobody else around doesn't scare me either. I'd be that person who would be still doing what I wanted, within reason, and not because again, this is sort of what I'm observing. It's the division in the way that people perceive things, and I'm a big sort of, like, I feel into very much the what you believe you perceive, and the most of reality is very much connected with thought forms and consciousness. Psychosomatic illness, the placebo effect, the power of our thoughts, these things they've just always been within me, these sort of, I guess they're just intuitions, aren't they? But, so I was a bit miffed this morning when my mum rang me, because I saw her on the weekend, and, she likes a bit of drama, my mum, but she's been a nurse for so long, and she's, naturally very intuitive and instinctive and, sort of like an empath. She's sort of blocked herself off to a lot of her natural abilities through a life of trauma and alcohol abuse. It's not funny, is it? Oh, bless. So, she's sort of, she's perceiving both ends of the spectrum at the moment in terms of full-on mainstream pandemonium fear. She's got people like my brother who's bombarding her with sort of, like, warnings and, sort of, like, edging on the fear porn, because he's got one doctor friend who has one opinion, and everybody has all these opinions, and God, yeah. So anyway, I rang her up this morning because I was a bit miffed, and I was like, come on, you know better. Look after your mind first. Like, what's this panic in your voice? What's this anxiety? Tell me your symptoms, you know? So she's like, well, I've been coughing a bit. And I'm like, you've been coughing since 1995. She started smoking again recently in the last sort of couple of months, and so I'm like, well, that's why you're coughing. You know, you've been coughing forever. Don't worry about that. That doesn't seem to be an extra symptom. Anything else? She's like, well, I've been a bit tired, a bit achy, and you know, once I managed to like calm her down, we both realised that she's not really got any symptoms, but if she wants to take a nice little rest and look after herself as a precautionary measure, you know, then she should allow herself the grace of doing that. Like, she's in her 60s, late 60s, and, you know, she deserves a break. I just think it's funny, you know, how 1 minute she's all right, the weekend she was all right. We were semi-laughing about it together, you know. Every time they spoke about it, I was doing the old, "Ay, Corona," you know, managed to calm them all down. But, so, see, my brother is very much a worrier. He's always been a bit anxious and a bit of a worrier like me, but manifested in different ways. But also, you know, he's super fearless in other ways and lives his life flipping his finger to the rules in many ways. You know, he's a professional poker player, and he's done really well. You know, he's made a lot of money over his career, I guess, you know, and he's cool, but he's a worrier, and he hasn't addressed any of his own issues or traumas, and he's just a product of, you know, the masculine sort of representation of what I was around, what I picked up on, you know, just displayed in different ways and unaddressed. So he's a really sort of interesting subject to observe. Anyway, his girlfriend is very, very much a hypochondriac, to put it mildly. And I've been observing. I really hope she don't watch this, you know, because I never want to cause shit, but it's like... Anyway, yeah. And so I've been observing her strange behaviours for years. So I was laughing, you know, saying they'll have gas masks ordered, kids will be off school and all that jazz. Surely enough, you know, they are. And I've got my brother who's trying to tell me, you know, to follow the same advice. And it just seems that, you know, the panic and the fear is really swelling up to the surface. What's interesting to me again is the reactions of people's like humour. My humour is not going down well now at the moment. You know, it's like, you know, my mum's like, I think you're just not taking this seriously. And, you know, I guess it's too deep and too on a different plane of language or understanding for me to even try and explain to her, you know, how I perceive life and, you know, how I know that death is nothing but a transition of energy. And so I feel like this spiritual awakening for me, which, by the way, is exactly like 2 years ago. March 2018 was my wake-up call, my Kundalini awakening, I would say. You know, this emerald green light, this crystal materialising, my spiritual downloads, my absolute propelledness, which is not a word, you know. I was shot into the void, and I went through some very, very dark times in order to learn my lessons, prepare myself, rearrange priorities, shed densities, all that jazz. And so I'm really grateful. I feel very lucky, you know, and I feel like I'm always ready. I'm always ready. I'm the calm in the storm, you know. And so what I'm doing at the moment is I'm trying not to trigger those around me with my, in their eyes, you know, sort of flippant nature about what's going on. But I'm staying true to myself, and I'm cheering myself up, you know. It's interesting to watch. It wouldn't shock me if I woke up tomorrow and an asteroid had destroyed, you know, half half of the planet, or if, you know, some other horrendous thing happened, I'm always prepared. And by that, you know, my cupboards aren't stocked and my fridges aren't stocked, and I have panicked none. And I will panic none, and I will get through it because I have faith in the universe, in a higher source, and my part in it. So, you know, it's just really interesting. It's really interesting. There's also some really meaty moral dilemmas that are going on, and the decisions that have been made by respective countries, and, you know, I guess what they deem as important. And what I'm finding interesting is that my perspective quite often can be very much opposite to the norm. So, you know, nothing new there for me. But so, yeah, I feel like, in a way, you know, that I kind of thrive on a bit of drama, and like I'm feeling all the energies, and I'm feeling how palpable and tangible it is when the energies and the fear and the panic is around you, whether that's just, you know, because everything's invisible, isn't it? But, you know, those around you, or when you're out and about, other people, you know, my mum, my brother, whoever, and how that energy sort of tries to swirl into your vortex, and how it's the centre, and the heart has to be open, but it feels to me like the solar centre, that you know, this is the energy generator, and that's how we can transmute this sort of fear and anxiety and pandemonium, and, you know, just sort of also holding space for other people to feel these feelings without you know, being patronised by humour, like in my example, or, you know, me just sort of, you know, people are going to be perceiving and feeling completely different realities, all determined by their own level of fear and internal work at the moment. And so it's like, in some ways, it really does feel like, well, it's sort of cruddy to me. It still seems like cruddy, and, you know, but it's like, if this is the first of dramatic things to happen, where it needs the brave souls that have awakened, you know, to hold space energetically, and to be the light and the love and the compassion for those around us, then, you know, this is a mission that we can all accept, you know. And so, most important thing is to support each other, you know, to be these lighthouses for others and those around us, and to project from our energy centres just that absolute faith and strength in a divine plan. And you know, que sera, sera, everything is good. So, yeah, I don't know, exciting, crazy times, and let's see, eh? I've had an interesting week as well, you know, regarding the work thing, because prior to this becoming a bit dramatic, you know, I was waiting for any old excuse not to go to work. I even had a sick day, didn't I? But I found that, you know, when people, like my brother was saying, you shouldn't go, you know, you shouldn't go to this old lady, you shouldn't go, and, you know, she should be self-isolating, you should be self-isolating, and all this. You know, I rang her to just check how she was feeling, and, you know, like, are you still up for me coming, or do you feel at risk? Am I at risk? Are you at risk? And we were both sort of chill, and it was quite interesting to listen to her perspective. I did go to work, and it was interesting to hear her talking about all the shit that she'd been through. She's 80, and how this felt like nothing compared to shit that she's been through. So she's prepared. She's had it before, you know. A certain generation, you know, of which I am, we've had very easy lives so far, and, you know, chaos always happens, and it's just, you know, can we foresee and be the light and create better future timelines, future solutions to problems and things like that, you know, without shifting things and being driven collectively, the hive mind, through fear, you know. So it's an individual responsibility for us, you know. It's not like I could, you know, or any of us really could have our messages pumped out through mainstream TV. It just wouldn't be understood by people. So I guess at the moment, you know, we're here for each other and to hold space. And so yeah, I'm always here for anybody if anybody needs any kind of anything apart from money, because I have nothing nothing at the moment. But you know, I've got other more important shit. So if anyone needs anything, reach out. And have a lovely Tuesday. And I'm sure that most people who are listening to this are feeling exactly the same as me, which is pretty much all right, you know. I'm ready for whatever happens. So anyway, yeah, but things do feel completely trippy, and it's that time again. Energetically, I'm seeing more of the orby type things in the sky. There's a different type of nature to the atmosphere, and so obviously, you know, that lets the mind ponder other theories of potential carriers of things, you know. And I'm always, when I'm outside and I'm looking at the things that I can see in the sky, the like in between layers, and I know they're not floaters, but these things that I'm deciphering, these patterns or shapes or codes, whatever they are. Shit, I've lost what I was going to say. What the fuck was my point? I don't know, but they've been prominent. They've been prominent recently. Oh yeah, that's it. When I'm outside, I'm always like, you know, what do things look like that we can't see? What do things look like? Do they look like, it's like, what does 5G look like? What does 4G look like? What does Wi-Fi look like? What do just, you know, the frequencies from each house look like? What do people's auras look like? There's all this invisible stuff that maybe some of us can perceive and see, you know. So it's interesting, but yeah, I don't know, advice for me now is just continue to be grounded. It's very, very shaky energies, and yeah, let's ground, open the heart, remember to do simple shit, and yeah, we're I guess we're prepared. I feel prepared spiritually for anything, and so that's good. And I'm just going to keep digging and keep holding the light and all that jazz. So hope everybody's good, and yeah, keep up the good fight. I've been doing like a semi-joke, you know, when you do a little joke and it carries on for a bit. I've kept saying like "onward Christian soldiers," and it's turned into like a bit of satire, but like a bit of a joke and a bit of a truth as well, you know. So I keep saying "onward Christians," you know, fight the good fight. We've got this. Yeah. Oh, I feel underlying bubbling hysteria, and it makes me feel like a sadist sometimes. I'm like, I don't want to perceive worst case scenario of anything. I don't want to be naive. I don't want to be, you know, anything like that. But there's just something in me that's just like, don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing. And so I find things funny sometimes, God knows. Gallows humour in it, I think it's an Irish thing. Right, happy Tuesday, have a lovely day, toodaloo, bye.